Introduction, and thank you for inviting me to speak on this important topic. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to interact with so many educators around the region. My name again is Curtis Chan, and I'm the Regional English Language Officer based in the U.S. Embassy in Kathmandu, covering Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. And along with Bishwa Gautam, my colleague in the Regional English Language Office, we focus on supporting the teaching and learning of English in the region. So first, I wanted to speak briefly about why the US government supports English language education, and then I'll discuss how the COVID-19 pandemic affected our support in Nepal. And finally, I'll share a little bit about how the Regional English Language Office plans to continue supporting English language educators and learners in Nepal in the future. And after that, I'm happy to take a few questions. But first, learning another language is an incredible opportunity, as you are all aware as educators. It gives you insight into another culture, it helps you better understand others, and provides the opportunity to introduce your culture to others as well. This concept of mutual understanding is at the heart of many of the exchanges that the US government hosts, and English is a tool that makes these exchanges possible. Through promoting and strengthening the teaching and learning of English, Nepalis and Americans are better able to understand and interact with each other, not just our governments, but our people as well. And English offers many other advantages. For students, learning English offers greater academic opportunities, such as studying abroad. For educators and academics who want to publish research, many of the professional international journals are English language journals. For entrepreneurs, knowing English can grant access to a wider and more diverse market, and being able to understand English can provide everyone access to more perspectives and more information, not only about local issues, but about the world. And that's why the US supports English language teaching and learning, and why the Regional English Language Office focuses primarily on supporting English language teachers. Teachers are the gatekeepers and the influencers. Helping teachers strengthen their professional skills means that they can more effectively prepare their students for the future. Over the course of a career, a single teacher will interact with thousands of students. And those are thousands of future educators, entrepreneurs, social workers, and leaders who can strengthen and improve their communities. But the US's support of English language teaching and learning isn't just altruism. It's an investment in the future. In this increasingly interconnected world, what benefits one community can benefit everyone in the world. Students may choose to study abroad in the US. Entrepreneurs may form business partnerships with US businesses, or perhaps something a little bit more timely. An example that has recently happened is Nepali doctors who traveled to the US to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic. All of this just goes to show that teachers that we work with and their students may go on to positively impact their friends, their colleagues, their communities, their countries, and perhaps even the world. So to achieve the goal of supporting English in Nepal, the Regional English Language Office has collaborated with partners such as the Nepal English Language Teachers Association to host professional development conferences. And many of you may be familiar with the English language fellows and specialists that we bring to Nepal. For those who aren't, these are English language teaching professionals who provide professional development opportunities while promoting mutual understanding between Americans and their hosts in the different countries. We also fund the English Access Micro Scholarship Program, which is a program for underprivileged youth that promotes critical thinking and life skills through after-school English language programs. And we host online professional development courses and webinars for English language educators. Although until recently in Nepal and much of South Asia, there have been many obstacles to online learning, including a lack of infrastructure, a general preference for in-person programming, and a lack of online learning culture, which has been a challenge for successful online learning. But once the COVID-19 pandemic hit, it changed how we were able to engage with teachers and students. As it became clear that in-person programming was no longer possible, we had to adjust our approach. So we worked with our contacts to encourage them to share their expertise through online conferences. And in the first few months of the pandemic, Bishwa and I, although it's mostly Bishwa, attended over 30 online presentations and conferences to listen to the concerns of Nepali educators and to introduce them to online resources and professional development opportunities. But what impressed me the most about these online professional development events was that you could see a marked improvement at all levels in a very short period of time. The individuals and organizations that were hosting the events became more proficient at managing the online platforms and organizing the presentations. And I think that you will all agree with me, seeing how smoothly this conference is being run, that NELTA has learned a great deal about hosting online events in a short period of time. The presenters became more comfortable in an online context and learned how to better engage and interact with participants. And the participants themselves became better online learners and were actively engaged in the sessions. But one common theme throughout all of these events was a desire for more professional development opportunities, even online ones, and the need for training and identifying, accessing, and using technology, especially as teachers were now being asked to teach online, even though many had never done so before, or many had never even taken an online class before. So to respond to this demand, the RELO office increased the number of summer online professional development opportunities for Nepalis by almost 2,000%. This includes participation in the Department of State's open course, which is formerly the American English e-teacher course, online TESOL international courses, online National Geographic Cengage courses, and participation in the virtual International TESOL conference. And we partnered with NELTA to offer a 7-day online professional development conference on using instructional technology, on action research, and teaching professional development that had over 1,000 registered educators from Nepal, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and many other countries. So that's what we've done up till this point, and now where does that take us? So unfortunately, it doesn't appear that we will be able to return to business as usual and return to fully in-person teaching and teacher training in the near future. However, if there is a silver lining in this situation, and several of the previous speakers have also talked about this, it may be that it has forced us to reevaluate what we can accomplish virtually. And our experiences over this summer have provided us with some best practices and a roadmap for how we can continue to support English language educators virtually. So the first thing that the RELO office is thinking of doing is to focus on critical thinking skills and adapting resources and technology to the teacher's context. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic hit, the needs and the teaching contexts of Nepali educators varied dramatically depending on their location. Teachers and students in Kathmandu have wildly different access to technology and needs than those in Ilam or Mahendranagar. One teacher may be focusing on teaching entirely online, while another may be looking for ways to include technology in a blended classroom. Or another may just be looking for content that can be used to supplement in-person classes. There really is no one-size-fits-all approach. And given our limited resources, focusing on critical thinking skills and empowering teachers to identify and adapt resources to fit their needs and those of their students would be the most beneficial use of our resources. And it would be beneficial to educators regardless of their context, now and in the future. In these trainings, we also want to explore the challenges of adapting technology to effectively teach. Something that has become more and more apparent is that it's important for everyone to remember that this is a new modality. It's not only a new modality for the educators, but for the students as well. Students who are learning they're not only learning content, but they're also learning how to use and learn with technology. This means that educators need to know how to use the technology, but they also need to be patient with their students as their students learn the technology. The first time that you try to use a specific function, it might not work very well, but it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily a good idea. And so I'll give you an example from the 7-day conference that RELO and NELTA recently hosted. Our facilitator was English language specialist Ramin Yazdapana, and he had a good amount of experience teaching using Zoom, and he wanted to use breakout rooms to do the group work. In these breakout rooms, for those of you who haven't had an opportunity to experience this yet, the audience is randomly split into private chat channels. And the first time that Ramin tried to prepare everybody for the upcoming activity, and there was just panic and mayhem. People thought that the session had ended early. People thought that their devices had problems. Some people were able to follow the directions, but some people had no idea what was going on. The first time, again, it was chaos. But Ramin kept using the breakout rooms throughout the entire 7 days of the conference, and each time it got progressively and incrementally better. And by the final session, I was impressed with the productive conversations that I saw. And it was very hard to believe that only 7 days prior was the first time that these people had ever used these breakout rooms. So I just again want to reiterate that as we're moving into this new modality of teaching with technology, you're really teaching two skills now. You're not only teaching English, but you're also teaching your students how to learn with technology. And both you and your students will need time to learn how to do both. So second, we want to leverage the expertise of our alumni and our contacts. Over the years, the U.S. Embassy has worked with numerous organizations and thousands of educators, and they are in a unique position to share not only their experiences and what they have learned, but also how they were able to adapt this knowledge to effectively address the needs of their students. I spoke earlier about how there is no one-size-fits-all approach, and being able to customize content to meet your needs is exactly the approach that can be most effective in times like this. And each of these individuals can share their experience and their expertise, not only with their immediate colleagues, but with the larger teaching community. Third, and this is also something that some of the previous presenters had touched on as well, we want to continue to support local organizations and groups to develop the capacity to host online professional development opportunities. And this is also very much linked to the previous point, and where our contacts and our alumni can play a key role. There is a wealth of untapped experience in Nepal and across the world. Providing more opportunities for educators to present and share their ideas can only benefit the teaching profession. And we also want to empower local organizations and groups to take the initiative to organize groups to be able to take online professional development courses together. With the proliferation of massive open online courses, or MOOCs, this has also led to the democratization of education. There are
Curtis, you have 5 minutes more.
5 minutes, no problem. I'm getting to the end. So with MOOCs, there are so many quality MOOCs that are now freely available to everyone, but there are also a lot of challenges. For those who are unfamiliar with online learning, registering for MOOCs can be confusing. Due to the massive and open nature of MOOCs, there's often not a lot or any interaction with instructors or participants. If you have questions about the content, there might not be anybody who can help explain it to you. And it can be difficult to maintain motivation when you're taking a course entirely by yourself. But in a group, you have people who can help troubleshoot your questions. You have colleagues who you can discuss and clarify concepts with. And you have friends who can keep you motivated to finish the MOOC. And fourth and finally, we want to build and strengthen local, regional, national, and international networks. And we've been able to do this a little bit through some of our programming, our RELO programming. So technology has given us an incredibly powerful tool to connect like-minded professionals around the world. And you can take this conference as an example with speakers today from Nepal, the US, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Thailand, Malaysia, China, Japan. And this is just one day's worth of the conference. The challenges that we are facing now are not unique to Nepal, and strong professional networks can create the opportunities to share teaching materials, best practices, and ideas. They can also provide more opportunities for professional development and collaborating on teaching, on research, and on presenting in conferences. And it has the added benefit of promoting mutual understanding. So that's all in a nutshell where the RELO office is hoping to continue moving forward. But I just wanted to close with a few words. As many of us has said before, this is an unprecedented time that has profoundly affected all of us. We are all learning to adapt to this new reality, and it will take time for us to figure out how to do it effectively. And this has affected not only our professional lives, but also our personal lives. Teaching has never been an easy profession, but the stress of the pandemic has added another layer of challenges and frustrations to your lives and to your students' lives. But this is also an opportunity. It's an opportunity to look beyond how things have always been done and to look for how they can be done better. It won't be easy, and there will probably be many times that things do not work as hoped or planned. But I'm hopeful that through perseverance and persistence and cooperation and collaboration, that we'll be able to find success and be able to prosper moving forward. So I would again like to thank you all for inviting me to speak on this important topic, and thank you to NELTA for organizing the event.